Good afternoon. We'll go ahead and call to order our Brawley City Council and successor agency to the Brawley Community Redevelopment Agency. Our regular meeting agenda for Tuesday, October 6, 2020, 6 p.m., being held here today in person in our City Council chambers at 383 Main Street in Brawley. And Mike, can we have a roll call, please?
The minutes will reflect all council members present. Sorry.
Thank you. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Hamby, would you do us the honors with the invocation, please?
Sure. Let's all bow our heads and pray. Almighty God and Heavenly Father, we are grateful to you again for this opportunity to meet together, to guide our city, and we ask that you would give us wisdom tonight. We thank you for the safety that you've allowed us to have here in this city. We thank you for the community that we have. Lord, I also want to thank you for our COVID numbers getting better and better, and I ask that you would just bring us through this pandemic and that we would begin to see progress and improvement made in our community again. We thank you for our law enforcement, for our firefighters, and for every city employee here. Lord, we ask that you would just guide our proceedings tonight, that we'd make wise decisions, and that you would keep us safe. I pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Councilman Couchman, can you lead us in the pledge?
Sure. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, item number 1, approval of our agenda.
I make a motion, this is George, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilman George Nava, second by Councilman Couchman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 2 on our agenda, public appearances and comments. Not to exceed 4 minutes. This is a time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter of the city council. And there's a statement on our agenda to maintain social distancing. Please try to keep your 6 feet apart and wear your mask when possible. If you come up to the microphone, though, it's okay not to do that. Do we have any members of the public that would like to make a comment? Okay, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address, please.
This thing or without this?
You can take it off if you would like to.
My name is Mario Maresca. I'm 1299 West Pico Avenue in El Centro. I am here introducing myself and introducing several others here that are contractors, builders, engineers, and so on here in the community at large. And we're here because there has been some serious issues in dealing with a certain part of the one of the branches of the city, namely Public Works. Now, I'm not here to attack a single person or such a thing there. This is not my style, and I don't think it accomplishes much. But there is definitely a fault in the system, okay? Or at least from our point of view, since some of the projects that we're doing take a ridiculous amount of time. Something that should be built in 3 months ends up taking 1.5 years. And a lot of it has got to do with the fact that it seems like to get an answer, it is literally a fight on time. A week, another week, another week, another week, another month, and so on and so on. So, as I say, what should be taking a week stretches out into months. Now, on our end, as businessmen, people that are paying employees or contractors or subs or whatever, loan payments and so on, money, time and money are one and the same thing. And when we have an allotted time for a project, it takes 3 times that, we're not making any money. Okay? Now, without making, and trying not to point fingers here, but for example, I walked into that office there some time ago, and one of the secretaries, when I asked for one of the people in charge, she says, he has better things to do than talk to you. Okay, I just kind of like, okay, brush it off, don't worry about it. So then I brought the matter up with the previous city manager. Discussion got a little warmed up. In the end there, I go, what does it take for us to come to an agreement, to do something that would bring this to a resolution? One of the comments that comes from there, the sewage plant is more important than any little shack. I took serious, I mean, it boiled my blood almost instantly. Okay, I didn't say anything, but you know, I am just a little guy, but there's several people here and a couple others that are on the way, and others that probably haven't managed to come here. Okay, namely people like Marty Coyne, Gaddis, so on and so on. Okay, not to mention Primo here, Primo Construction, and pardon my thing there, getting warmed up, and the engineering branch here, and Alex Garrido. We build collectively a whole bunch of shacks, and these little shacks are what build the city and all the other cities around here. Mm-hmm. We might be insignificant in front of a big sewage plant there, but I thought that at the end of the day there, we would get the same service coming in the door as anybody else. We're not asking special favors. We're not asking to break the rules, bend the rules, or any other thing like that there. But we are asking that some rules get put in place, because to make you an example, if you walk into El Centro, in the city of El Centro, when you submit a set of plans, 2 weeks, they have to turn those plans around back to you. Okay, with whatever adjustments, whatever red lines, whatever it is, here it is. And you can start the process or continue the process, whatever the case is. Over here, we don't know what is the mandate of Public Works. It seems like the mandate is expanding. And beyond that, if they give it back to you in a month or 2 or 3, full of red lines, and you start all over again, it doesn't seem to matter to anybody. But it matters to us. I mean, I don't want to be an idiot, but I will say, I mean, as a public employee, a paycheck is always there. It comes from the taxes that our little shacks build. But we don't get a paycheck. Okay? When 3, 4, 5, 6 months go by, I'm just putting out. It's money that's going out the window. It's not coming back. Okay? So I can understand delays of a normal stature, but this has gotten completely out of hand.
Okay.
So what we would like is for certain rules or regulations or what have you, something similar to the cities around us, to be put in place.
Okay.
To control, to give a certain level of service to us walking in, and also to protect the public worker that is doing the job. I mean, that's got to be on both sides, okay? And some of the requirements that are being asked of us are so far beyond excessive, because every time that you bring up the precision level, it's another level of cost. We are not building highways. We're not building the space shuttle. We're building just homes. There is a certain level of precision that needs to be done for that. There's certain bylaws for that. But you don't have to go far and above and way the heck beyond to a point there where it becomes so constrictive, so expensive, that they're just like, what am I doing it for? Okay?
Okay.
I mean, the last project I did, I built 3 houses. It took me a year and a half. And with all this little frills and thrills, I lost 50 grand at the end of it. Okay? And I am just like this big. Okay? The other guys, the bigger ones, I'm sure could tell you bigger numbers. Okay? So, how do we fix this? How can we ask you guys, the elected body of the city, the ones that us citizens have put in place to make the rules, to keep peace between all the parts, help us.
Okay.
Okay?
What-
Because us little shack builders are the ones that are generating the tax revenue, which keeps the ball rolling.
Okay.
Okay? When we go down, the economy goes down.
Okay.
Jobs, so on and so on and so on. And I'm sure most of you guys are businessmen, business ladies. You know what I'm talking about.
Okay, well, thank you so much. You shared a lot of information with us today that we definitely will look into. We appreciate your coming forward and sharing that information with us.
Thank you.
Mr. Modesto. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any more public comments?
I'm Steve Priest with Precision Engineering, and I live here in Brawley, raised my kids here. We bleed Brawley blood now. I'm from El Centro originally. And we just wanted to say we do engineering here in Brawley. We're working with a company from out of town with a couple big apartment complexes. About a year and a half ago, we did the one on Mainland Street for this company. Had a lot of problems with the Public Works Director. We worked through those. There's a timeline on these ones they get these credits, these tax credits. Worked through that. My engineer was a little upset, but we did tell the owners we are from Brawley. We can work through this. We know the Public Works, And now we're working on a new one, and I'm telling you, the Public Works has drug us through the dirt. Our original bid for the engineering, it's gone. We're just, he ate all our time up. And I've complained a little bit. A couple of the city council members, I think they went to the city manager before. Nothing's really happened, but I am going to tell you, he's costing us money. He's costing the people coming into Brawley, trying to invest in Brawley. He's costing them money, and it's not working real good right now. Just want to say that right now. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your comments. You have anybody else that would like to?
I have a public comment if I just may.
Yes, come on in, sir. Please step up to the microphone, state your name and your address.
Hi, my name is Mark Gaddis, 121 North F Street in Imperial, and I sent a letter to City Council and the City Manager maybe a month and a half ago, outlining the problems I'm having with Public Works and getting a drainage plan out. And I didn't make a lot of headway getting any solutions to the problem. I still don't have a drainage plan. And I've asked a bunch of the contractors to be here today to help voice concern about this. I have here 6 copies of my drainage plans, and you can see how they have increased and progressed in the complexity of each one. And I turned in my original on the first one on February 27th. I just received another set of red lines yesterday. It never ends. And so the latest you might say, obstacle is I was going to put yard drains on the side of my house. This is just an infill lot. This is nothing special, right? Put yard drains so I didn't have to raise the pad so high. As it is, the house is 21 inches above the crown of the street, which is really high for a flat lot in Brawley on A Street. So I put yard drains so I didn't have to be 24 inches above the crown of the street. Now I'm told today that if you put a yard drain, you have to pay $2,000 for a test to bore a hole down to the water table to see where the water table is. And then under each yard drain, you bore a bigger hole and fill it full of rock so that excess water can percolate through this. Had I been told that in the very beginning, I would have never gone down the road of using yard drains and wasted all that time on re-engineering the whole pad. It's just one thing after another. It keeps adding on and changing and adding on and changing. There is not a set template that says, here, this is what we want, this is what we'll accept. There's not one of those. And before February, before we submitted this, my engineer and I met with Andy, and so did my engineer, and we went over everything they wanted on a drainage plan. Not an improvement plan, but a drainage plan. And that's what we submitted. Then it changed to needing a retention pond. Then it changed to needing a percolation test for the pond. That was $3,000. Then it changed to more things, and then they wanted more information. And I think the best solution of all, this is what the IED did and what the city of Imperial did when new regulations were being imposed that caused a lot of friction with developers. They had workshops, and the developers got to come in and sit down with the city officials and come to a solution of something that is reasonable and that actually works. Because a lot of these things that are here just make no common sense at all. I've done drainage plans my entire life. I'm not new to this. And I just submitted one to the city of Imperial. All it is a drainage plan, very simple. It shows how the water is going to drain away from the house. These are no longer drainage plans. These are full-on improvement plans required for an infill lot as though it were a major subdivision. There is just so much information on there. But unfortunately, as the elected officials that run this city, you don't know how complex these things are getting for a simple infill lot. Now, my project alone has stalled 2 houses that would be completed by now. You'd have $500,000 more in a property tax base. They would be done because I built 4 in Imperial in the time I've been waiting for this. I could have been in Brawley building. I'm building in Imperial and I'm building in El Centro as well. And this is something new that everybody is learning in Brawley. Everybody is learning, but they keep implementing more and more things. Everybody knows that the city of Brawley is financially strapped. You have the right hand saying, we need more development, we need more money. You have the left hand imposing new regulations, stifling development, especially on infill lots. And it seems like the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. How can those two go together? They simply cannot.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Gaddis, and we appreciate your coming in and sharing the information.
Thank you, Mr. Geddes. If I could add just a comment, this is public comment, so we don't necessarily go back and forth, but I do want to share with you that I had thought of having a workshop in the past, and I would like to see it happen. So that way there's more clarity from the staff perspective, even for the city council to better understand like the challenges you're having. So if we can set that up with staff and make sure that we do that, that'd be fantastic. Yeah. He's right here.
He's right here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for those of you who don't know, this is our latest and greatest city manager, Tyler Salcido. He's been with us in a finance director capacity, and now he is the interim city manager here. He's doing a very good job. So, please share your thoughts with him as well. Sorry.
Do we have any more public comments? Is that it?
Madam Mayor, if I could,
Yes,
if
sure.
not, adding to the comment, I did have some conversation actually prior to this meeting, and again, I know this is open comment, we're not taking any particular action, but I think that workshop sounds like not only a good idea, and very simply, I can say this is that these type of issues, whether it's Public Works or any other department, this council has always taken every bit of input and not only acted upon it, positively. I want to talk specifically about development. I can't think of any development projects that have come here where the council has worked its tail off to meet positively, to bring, I think as Mr. Gaddis said, the right hand wanting the growth, and then, potentially getting a different feel from the whole staff experience. So we need to bridge that. We need to make sure that's aligned. And I want to make it very clear that as a council member, we're not here understanding maybe the day-to-day, certainly not the technical aspects of what developers, builders maybe do. But with all that said, I think it's important. I think your public comment is not only been heard. My assumption is all the public comment would probably be maybe the same, but we just need to work together. We need to address this, I think, as soon as possible, and see what we could do for process improvement, right? Everything can always be improved, and do what we have to do. I think, Mr. Mario, you were, commenting about the shack. My own organization, which I'm recused from these decisions, is working on a new shack out at the airport. So I'm not just a Hair Club member, I'm a customer too. So I mean, I understand that, the challenges. And furthermore, I'll also say, working with a national company, we deal with those challenges all across the country in various different degrees. So no two agencies are exactly alike. So hopefully we can address those and we can move forward, and we, certainly turn this around. But appreciate the comments.
If there's no further public comments, I just also want to reiterate that we appreciate you all coming forward today, and we'll do our best to work with you to resolve these issues as soon as possible. And I know that I personally had talked to Mr. Gaddis, and we had shared the concerns with our city manager and staff. So we'll find out where we are on that, and sure to get back to you either individually or, like was recommended, get the staff together for a workshop to try to resolve these things. But thank you so much for coming forward.
And if I could just add something, just since you're here, we are going through change within the city. So what may have occurred 3 months ago, 2 months ago, we're just in a different time period here in the city. I'm excited about it. So I appreciate everybody coming out here. I know we're going through COVID, but that doesn't stop the economy. That doesn't stop building. That doesn't stop. I'm in real estate. I've developed homes myself. I've purchased 70 properties and rehabbed 69, 70 of them. And so I understand the frustrations that come with development. I'm excited about the future, but certainly, Tyler, if you can get with city staff and those in attendance, that'd be fantastic, just to get, everybody on the same or similar page.
Okay. Thank you. Were there any other public comments, either on a different subject or anything from anyone out there? No? Okay. Thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to, I do have a proclamation that I'd like to read under our public comment section. The month of October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so we'd like to present this proclamation to Ms. Arita Chin, who's here from the Ivy Cancer Support Center. I'll go ahead and read it, Arita, and then I'll come, we can meet down there, okay? Okay, the proclamation reads as follows: National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I think I'll take my mask off just to read this. It's easier, it's kind of lengthy. Whereas breast cancer touches the lives of Americans from every background and in every community across our nation, and although we have made great strides in combating the devastating illness, more than 200,000 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer this year, and tens of thousands are expected to lose their lives to the disease. And whereas during National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we honor those who we have lost, lend our strength to those who carry on the fight, and pledge to educate ourselves and our loved ones about this tragic disease. And whereas the exact causes of breast cancer are unknown, understanding the risk factors is essential to prevention, as well as promoting early detection and awareness of personal and family history of breast cancer. And whereas women and men are encouraged to speak with their healthcare providers about breast cancer and to visit www.cancer.gov, to learn more about symptoms, diagnosis, and treatment. And whereas this month we stand with mothers, daughters, fathers, sons, sisters, brothers, and community members who have been affected by breast cancer, and we recognize the ongoing efforts of dedicated advocates, researchers, and healthcare providers who strive daily to defeat this terrible disease. In the memory of loved ones lost, inspired by the resilience of those living with the disease, and strengthen our resolve to lead our nation toward a future free from cancer in all of its forms. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Norma Kastner Haudegi, Mayor of the City of Brawley, California, do hereby proclaim October 2020 as National Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Brawley. I encourage citizens, government agencies, private businesses, nonprofit organizations, and all other interested groups to join in activities that will increase awareness of what Americans can do to prevent breast cancer. And I'd like to go ahead and present this to Ms. Orita Chin.
I have to bring Sarah with me.
Oh,
She's
absolutely.
She's my right hand.
Sarah, how are you? Good to see you.
Well,
Thank you so much.
I personally, let's see, I guess we're putting it-
There you go, right in the center. Yeah.
I personally know Orita very well, and Sarah. They're very valuable in our community, not just as breast cancer, but for all types of cancer, and have a personal touch, say, following them. So thank you so much for everything you do for our community, and especially for the city of Brawley. Thank you.
Council, if I could just say one word.
Certainly,
Thank
certainly,
you so much.
of course.
To Mayor Hardegay, the members of the council and elected officials, my name is Orita Chin, and this is Sarah Cruz, and we are the two that serve over 350 families here in Imperial County that have cancer. Yes, October is Breast Cancer Awareness, but we do not want anyone to forget the over 600,000 people in the United States who lose their life each year to cancer. It seems that COVID has taken the front seat and cancer has taken a back seat. And so we just want everyone to know that they should be diligent in being checked, men as well do get breast cancer, and we still fight on. Our office in Pioneer Memorial Hospital and the Cancer Institute, and we'd like to thank the community for all of the support. We almost had to close our doors, but God is good, and we've been able to remain open and provide services for the people in Imperial County. So we thank you.
Oh, that's nice of you. Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, if I
Thank
could,
you.
Arita, while you're handing those out, just,
Thank you, Arita.
I think for both you and certainly, sir, your tenacity in keeping not only the efforts going, I think a big part of, like you said, you wouldn't allow this mission to stop because of the challenges that you guys faced, and you really, I can say, is a testament, all the people, not only the families you're serving, but just like the rest of the community, on behalf of the city of Brawley, saying we're always happy to see you and truly honor your guys' efforts. So,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that was very nice, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to our consent agenda. Need a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay,
second.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to regular business. Under regular business, item 4A, we have an update on the City of Brawley declaration of local emergency as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. And our Fire Chief, Mike York, will provide us with a report.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council and city staff. Mike York, Fire Chief. Bring bringing to you this evening another update for our COVID-19 situation and the declaration of emergency within the city. Starting off with our case counts in Imperial County as they stand, the latest numbers that were provided yesterday evening. Imperial County testing has kind of stabilized. We were seeing a lot of high testing numbers daily. We were seeing the number of testeds kind of fall off. So we're tested today at 70,467 people in Imperial County. Thankfully, we've had a total negative test count of 57,924 and total positives of 12,109. As of today, we have 290 active cases. Only 26 of those are currently hospitalized, with 7 in the ICU. So our hospital and our ICU censuses have stabilized at lower numbers, well within our surge capacity. As of the same as last report, our out-of-county transfers due to COVID have pretty much fallen off. Our out-of-county transport numbers are stabilized at pre-COVID numbers. We've had in the Imperial County, 11,493 people have recovered. Unfortunately, we've recorded 326 deaths. Within the 92227 area code, we've had 2,081 positive cases and unfortunately 41 deaths. Our neighbors to the south in Mexicali, their numbers were provided yesterday afternoon. 8,962 positive, 1,573 deaths, 141 active cases today. So unfortunately, we're hit quite a bit harder than us. Yuma County has tested 74,426, so their test numbers are very much in line with ours. They have a confirmed count of 12,871, and they've recorded 347 deaths, so very much on par with our area. Excuse me. Blueprint for a safer economy. Everybody's question. We are still in the widespread category. As a reminder, these criteria are based on new case counts per 100,000 and positive test percentage. To get out of the widespread, we need to hold a case count of less than 7 per 100,000 and a less than 8% positivity rate for 2 weeks before we provide attestation. By the Imperial County numbers, we're at 12.3 per 100,000 and 10.02 positivity rate. In the last 3 days, we've seen our case counts and our positivity rates increase. Not sure what that's due to. The last few times that we've seen a peak, it was following significant holidays, etc. So we don't have anything as a benchmark at the 10 to 2 week period that's really standing out, but we are seeing case rates rise. To move to substantial, we need to get to 4 to 7 persons per 100,000 and a 5 to 8% positivity rate. The state numbers differentiate a little bit. As I was talking on the last council meeting, that has to do with reporting dates, the way they're counting cases, and the inclusion or exclusion of inmate populations. The state is showing us at 9.5 per 100,000 and fortunately a 4.9% positivity rate. Although that is much lower than what we're seeing in the county, I would assume that we're going to see that number rise as the data comes close, as the dates get closer and the data gets reported. City of Brawley and the fire and EMS response has had no change since the last council meeting. We still have 132 calls for service that were COVID related and 59 that were confirmed COVID positive. So since September of 22, we have had no change, which is very fortunate. It means that we're not running EMS calls to COVID patients or suspected COVID patients. Either our patients are treating at home or they're transporting on their own. As always, we're continuing to work with our local, state, and federal partners. The county EOC meetings have reduced their frequency from every day of the week down to twice a week. And within the city, we're pretty much in a holding pattern, so to speak, where we're just dealing with the situation and making sure we have the PPE that we have and just maintaining the contingency plans that we've put in place.
Okay. Thank you so much for your report.
Thank you.
Council, have any questions?
The only question I had is, it doesn't appear that our rate is going up very much. Is it happening in other areas of the county? Is that what's going on, or what's happening?
I would say I haven't looked at the data for the individual area codes to make a comparison, but within the city, the 92227 zip code, you're correct. We're very stable. The numbers have increased very slowly, so I would assume that yes, they would have to be in other zip codes, but I'm not sure where the the peak is, so to speak.
That's kind of an interesting dynamic because you have the Calexico on the border, and then you have El Centro, then you have us. And so I'm assuming that the higher populated areas may have more incidences than what we're having, but we also encompass part of the north end
Yeah.
with with Nyland, Calipatria, the Slabs, and Westmoreland. And so I just wonder what's
Even
going on.
92227 encompasses areas outside of Brawley.
Yes,
you know, right?
outside,
So,
yes.
yeah, so-
To a certain extent, yes.
And regarding testing and positivity rates, because if, for example, at the last update, we, which was on September 22nd, within the county, there was a total testing of 67,000 to today's 70,000. So we're looking where our test numbers per day have really fallen off, but our positivity rate has increased, which generally means that we're getting the people that are seeking testing are probably seeking testing because they're symptomatic and not prophylactic testing or routine testing.
Right.
So,
So would it be valuable to request through the notification process that we'd like more people to go in and test? Would that be of value to us, I think, overall, or do we just let it rest the way it is?
it's Occam's razor on that. There is I think we've reached a point where prophylactic testing at the beginning stage of this crisis was discouraged because there was limited test kits. That is not my understanding now. It seems that test kits are available. Testing is a little more widespread. So absolutely, not symptomatic, people that are completely symptom-free with no exposures probably shouldn't test, but people that do have exposure or some sort of contact, it would be a good idea for them to test. Not only would it affect our positivity rate, but it would potentially, they would find out that they were COVID positive before they were symptomatic,
Right.
or at the very early stages, and of course they could quarantine themselves and expose less people.
Well, I think they started encouraging a lot of testing, and so we had a lot of people going on a test, and now then they've suddenly fallen off kind of on that encouragement. They've just kind of let it kind of rest where it's at. I'm wondering if we need to start another campaign to kind of push people in there for testing, whether they're symptomatic or not. I think the whole key behind that is the numbers that you get in there to test make a big difference on your positivity rate, because the lower the numbers of testing, the more your positivity rate tends to rise. So, I mean, I'm just thinking maybe we needed to be more proactive from the city side. I think it would have to be countywide, but certainly from the city side, we could be more proactive, encouraging people to go in and test, irregardless of what's going on. I mean, I don't know.
Chief, I just have one question. Just speaking of testing, I wanted to ask, just for our frontline troops, of course, our firefighters and paramedics and our law enforcement community here in Brawley, with access to tests, obviously I'm kind of tuned into the industry a little bit of what's going on in the country. My understanding is there's much more access to rapid antigen testing. Is that something that just from you're really tracking this locally, on a day-to-day basis? Is that something we have access to? And I'm wondering, is that something as a city we should have available to us? Because my understanding, the current testing is typical PCR testing, can take days to get the results, right? So you're literally taking folks out of commission, right?
So the PCR testing is what is actually recorded. That is the one that the data is parsed from. I don't have the up-to-date numbers, but I know certainly just within a few weeks, months ago, the antigen testing was really considered not as accurate. There was too many false negatives and false positives. All of the testing sites have made it a priority for frontline workers. So I know, I speak in my house, the personnel that sought testing were able to get in right away. And in almost every case, they were able to get their results within the next day or 2 days later.
Okay.
And the Imperial County EMS has made in-house testing available, and personnel in my department have undergone the training to perform the test. So if we need to do in-house testing, we can request kits directly through the Department of Public Health and do our testing in-house, and it's basically fast-tracked at Imperial County Health.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear, and I think that's good for the public to hear too. So that's how we're able to keep these, our frontline folks that are obviously facing this virus day to day, right, coming in contact potentially. But my understanding is also the specificity and the accuracy of the antigen testing's come a long ways. So
that is my understanding as well.
Yeah, a short period of time. So just curious. So thank you. That answers that. Thank you.
Chief York, I was going to ask you, what about the state testing at the senior center? are they still operating?
Yes, they are.
And what are their numbers? Because I understood that they weren't having a big turnout anymore, so.
I don't have numbers for the individual test sites. It's something I could look into for the next report.
And I guess that just following what Sam was saying, and I don't know where the county stands on that as far as encouraging folks to get testing, or they're just basically now just people that feel that they're symptomatic make the appointments to go get testing. I haven't heard anything about encouraging people to go get tested.
I think there's still, through the Imperial County PIO, I think there's still definite awareness that's being pushed out. I think that, in my personal opinion, I think that we've reached almost like a battle fatigue where our population is starting to, we've definitely had people in our city that have tested 3 or 4 times and being negative over and over again. Either it's a false insecurity or they're basically just tired of it. But it is important that, again, not waiting to be symptomatic, but if there's an exposure, somebody in your family, somebody in your workplace, somebody that has come in contact with you that is either showing symptoms or maybe potentially positive, it's always a good thing for people to go and get tested.
Tested then,
Okay, if you could get us that information on the senior center, I'm just curious out. You have the information?
I don't have the number of tests, but the senior center is scheduled to stay up until November 30th.
Oh,
Okay,
all
so
right,
we're
thank
good
you.
there. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
You're very welcome.
Other
Thank you.
questions? Thank you, Chief. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to departmental reports. We have our HR Director, Shirley Bonillas, providing us a report on staff.
Madam Mayor, council members, Shirley Benias, Personnel and Risk Management Administrator. One day will call me an HR Director. I have hope. On page 36 of your agenda packets is our many positions we're currently recruiting for. We hope to finalize the firefighter recruitment. That's a 3-phased approach to selection. We have 4 positions we're trying to fill, and we still have a sizable number of candidates that will be interviewing tomorrow morning and hopefully get this finalized by the end of the week. We have 3 police officers in backgrounds, and to date, we are fully staffed in dispatch. So that continues to go forward. Go the 2 probationary hires, go. Let's get you past that and get you some more training and get that stabilized in dispatch. And Public Works is seeing a lot of movement. I have not spoken with our Public Works Director today, but we do have an in-house candidate for the Assistant Chief. I don't know if he accepted the position. I hope he did. And then we'll be recruiting for a Water Treatment Plant Operator 3. So we have a lot of movement, a lot of positive movement going on in Public Works. It's great. And then we'll be talking later about the other positions we have open in closed session. Any questions that I may answer?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm happy to
Look
hear
forward to the
the-
conversation.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear the dispatchers are all in place now. It's been ongoing for a while. Okay, moving on to update on emergency construction project, the Brawley Water Treatment Plant, by our Public Works Director, Guillermo Cias. Welcome, Guillermo.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, Guillermo Sillas, Public Works Director. Regarding this project, the emergency project continues. Unfortunately, September 25th, staff noticed a failure on sedimentation pond number 2. One of the sludge collector drive had broken, and a shear pin associated with chain and flight system was not moving, and staff has to put out of commission the sedimentation basin number 2. And also during the inspection, it was noticed that the shut-off switch was never triggered by the safety mechanism because it was installed backwards. So it was stopped immediately, and contractor came on October 1st to fix it, and it was put back to work in service. So both basins are working right now. And still remaining some of the punch list items to complete the job. And there's 2 pending change order items that were ordered for the BFD replacement and an actuator on one of the bulbs. But we are getting close to complete the original project and just waiting for the change order items to arrive and to be installed.
I have a question. On sedimentation basin number 2, the failure, was that a fairly significant failure? Or is it something that was repaired quickly?
It was a quick fix, fortunately. It could have been significant, but staff noticed soon the problem and they stopped the basin, the mechanism. It's like when you have your bicycle and you are moving it and the chain is out of the gear and you continue.
Right.
Nothing happened, but could have happened, right?
It could have, right.
Right, but fortunately they stopped, and
but it should have automatically stopped, and it didn't. Yeah.
Right. What happened? It is exactly as I described. It's a bicycle
Sprocket
with a
chain. Yeah, I've seen
moving,
it.
and there's a pin that when something happened that the chain detects that cannot move because there's something, a plug or so, the shear pin should have break,
Okay.
right? So to continue the chain moving, but not moving the spin, the shear pin.
Okay.
And it's exactly what happened, but the gear should have a little piece that when stops, touches a switch that triggers
it's a
the alarm.
contact that stops it.
But instead of being like this, it was like this. So the pin was
understood.
on the other side.
So it would never have touched it. Yeah.
Never touched.
Yeah.
That was the problem.
Yeah.
Nothing happened, but fortunately they stopped it on time, but could have happened.
Certainly. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Right.
Guillermo, can you give us an update on the Allen Street and Legion Road while you're here?
Allen Street, it was pretty much completed. All the concrete work, the asphalt, the striping. They also did some grinding to smooth it out. Minor items or punch lists are pending, but pretty much is completed. And Legion, phase 2, same thing. They adjusted the manholes. They are pending to do the grinding to smooth it out.
I saw that.
And
Looks
and
good.
striping, complete the striping.
Looks good.
Sidewalk has been done too. Yeah.
Yeah,
sidewalk,
that's
uh-huh.
Nice sidewalk there, yeah. Nice.
Right, but it's very close to be completed.
Okay, very good. And just to refresh our memory, when the anticipation for the 3rd phase, when does that go out to bid?
It is. We received the authorization to proceed. It's just that we want to put out to bid other commitments that we have that are close to the completion date or the beginning of the project. So we want to put those out to bid and then go with the phase 3 and start the bid process with that. So
Okay.
it's coming soon.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to city council member reports. We'll go ahead and start with Councilman Nava.
I'll keep my comments just very brief. Tomorrow we're starting the League of California Cities virtual annual meeting and exposition, and it's actually one of the more exciting times for me on the city council. I really do appreciate meeting and working and talking with fellow council members throughout the state. A lot of good information always comes from it. So unfortunately this year, because of COVID, we're not able to attend, and generally it's been held in Long Beach. We're not able to attend, but I look forward to it and getting some good information to bring it back to the city. I'm excited about that, and I'm hopeful that the presentation is a good one. I've been able to participate in some virtual conferences and expositions in the past few weeks, and I shouldn't say it's surprising, but I can tell you that the technology and the way they're presented is very good. Doesn't beat being there in person, but it's very good, the presentation, and being able to access some of the different rooms where you're able to hear on a variety of subjects affecting small and larger cities throughout California. So should be good. Also represented, of course, the city at the ICTC meeting just this past week. And I'll keep my comments brief. I know we have a lengthy closed session, but I do want to thank the public for coming out with their concerns and their comments. I know it's something that's been discussed with me privately from developers, and I just want to make sure that as we transition now, we're making every effort to maybe change some past practices that haven't been working effectively. So anyway, thank you all.
Councilman Wharton?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I as well am registered for the League of Cities Conference. Looking forward actually to hearing how thus far COVID, how other agencies and other cities are dealing with it, and not only dealing with it, but more importantly on my list, I think from not just public health and safety, but how we as a community can kind of look forward as we, are always talking about not just future plans, but what does 2021 look like. So I think that's an often, asked not just question, but conversation. So really hoping we get some ideas and some thoughts, from other agencies similar to Brawley and bigger than Brawley. Also with that, attended, and I know most of my council members did virtually, the division meeting for California League of Cities. Also was a Zoom session. So again, it was nice to see all of our fellow council members and mayors from around the valley. We always take a few minutes to kind of brag about the latest, greatest, and it's still good to see one way or the other, COVID or otherwise, cities continue, business continues. And just as we talk about some of these projects that are just recently got completed, same things happening throughout the valley. So always good to hear. And outside of that, also had multiple conversations around a couple of different topics in the city that are, I think some are in early stage. I know there's been a lot of talk and chatter around expanded services for a substance abuse clinic, as well as the developer topic that came up today. But I'll probably echo what Councilmember Nava said about we're really, as a matter of change, as change is, really starting to plot a new course. We have to. One of the unanticipated impacts was I don't think any of us foresaw the impacts of a global pandemic, quite this way. And I know it put a lot of plans and ideas and really even small initiatives on the back burner. So it's really all about how we press forward and can take some of the momentum that was built up prior to the pandemic and hopefully go into the new year and continue delivering on not just public work projects, but obviously on many of the initiatives that continue to be discussed here in the city. So look forward to that. And Madam Mayor, that's all I have to report.
Thank you very much. Councilman Couchman?
Okay, not much to say. I've been around the town. I drive around. I take a look at things, looking at Legion Road, Allen Street, and some of the other projects that we work on, and everything looks like it's moving forward. I'm thankful for that. We've had some input from citizens. Most of them are happy with the construction. Those that are ultimately majorly affected, they are sometimes unhappy while it's going on, but usually they're fairly happy when it's all completed. And so hopefully we can do that. I think the biggest issue I've had addressed to me is sprinkler systems on Allen Street, and their personal sprinkler systems, and they want those fixed, and et cetera, et cetera. And I think we're in the process of doing some of that. And so as that gets done, I think they'll be very happy over there, and we won't have the interruptions in water and things that we had over there like we've had in the past. The one thing I'd like to just mention one thing. We have the same somewhat of an infection rate as Yuma does in Arizona, but it seems like Arizona is much more open than we are in terms of the Yuma area. And the reason why I bring this up is because of the Cattle Call Queen situation. And they're going to go over there and they're going to have an outdoor event, which sounds pretty good to me. It's going to be outdoor and it's going to be in Yuma. Now, I don't quite understand why we can't have that event here as an outdoor event and have it in our area, since they have the same infection rate as we have, and they're just much more open than we are. So I think everybody needs to kind of step back and take a look at some of the things that are going on, and maybe the state of California needs to look at some of these things, and maybe the county needs to look at them and maybe come to some other conclusions, or maybe see what they can do and can't do that would be a little more open. I think people are getting very, very frustrated by the closures. I think the restaurants are still closed, and they've been closed for quite a few months. And I think either something's got to give one way or another. And I think maybe we'll have a vaccine by January. Maybe it sounds to me like we have some medication that's pretty effective against this, and it sounds like we're kind of on top of trying to get people in before they show symptoms and all of those types of things in order to deal with this with the COVID. But I do think that we need to look at that, and why are we so much different than other areas which are much more open, such as San Diego and some of the other areas which are open now, but we're still not here in Imperial County. It affects our business, it affects our finances, it affects our school children, it affects everybody. And I'm somewhat concerned with that, and I'd like us to take a better look at that. I'd also like to see us, after this is all over, study what went on differently in Arizona versus what went on in California, and how and what did we do wrong and what did we do right. And I think that's an important aspect of all of this. It's a learning process, and I think we have to learn from that. That was not to be negative about the Queen contest. I think it'll go over fine in Yuma. They'll be able to get that done over there, and then we'll still have a virtual cattle call, although it certainly won't be the same. But hopefully by December, January timeframe, we can open up the city a lot more than what it's currently open, and hopefully that will take place. I think with safety protocols in place, I think we maintain those, and I'm all in favor of those. But I do think we need to open up more.
You know,
That's all I have to
some
say.
people drink so much during cattle call they don't remember it anyway.
Yeah,
what I mean?
right.
So
I
that's-
got that too.
there's
Yes.
some of that,
I know.
you know what I mean?
Are you speaking for yourself?
Hey, you know what?
You know,
I-
if the
I don't
shoe
remember.
fits. I mean,
There you go.
Okay. Well, that's all I have to
Except
say.
Luke-
That's
Luke
all I have to
remembers
say.
it all.
Thank you.
Right all.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamby?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Don't have a whole lot to report either. I received quite a few calls about our messages regarding graffiti and trash in different places in the city center that people notice. And I don't know if it's because people are more bored or have more time on their hands now, that they want to tag everything, and then other people go by and tag over that and start some kind of a war that way. But also calls about the conditional use permit for the substance abuse clinic, and calls and messages regarding the topic that was discussed here tonight by the different contractors and developers, the delays in public works. And I know this has been discussed, many times in the past several years, the idea of customer service within the different departments that are outward facing. And, some people have a knack for that. They're naturally, they're predisposed to being friendly and helpful in those kinds of positions, and other people don't have a knack for it. They prefer to be behind the scenes or behind a desk where they don't have to deal with people, and they're just as good at doing their their part of the job as the people that are out front. But I think it's in our best interests as elected officials and as city departments to figure out where that disconnect is, to try to get the people out front that are good at customer service, and the ones that keep their nose to the grindstone and prefer it that way, have them in a position that's not so outward facing. But I know as George mentioned, we've faced a lot of challenges financially between COVID and just a tight budget. I'm sure that in many departments we're understaffed, and that creates pressure and backlog for the people that are still there working, whether it's the police department or public works or any of the others. So as George mentioned, there are some things in the works and on the horizon that we hope will be a positive change that will bring in not only more business development, but also the ability to hire more people in each of those departments to relieve some of that pressure. But I think it's also important that we look at best practices throughout the state. We're in some ways our hands are tied. We have to abide by regulations and laws that the state hands down. But in other ways, we can look at cities around us in the valley and outside the valley to see what are they doing that is successful, that helps business to move forward quickly. If our backlog is just because of a volume of work that we can't handle, look at outsourcing more of that the engineering or the plan checking or whatever needs to happen, wherever the breakdown is. But I feel the frustration from the different people that were here tonight, and I do hope that we can make some positive changes to see that.
That was the end of your
Yeah,
time.
those
4 minutes were up.
4 minutes.
Your meantime.
Just fun over.
Anyway, that's about all I got to say.
It's good stuff, though.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Hamby. I have actually some of the same things, I think, some of the same comments. I enjoyed attending the California League of Cities division meeting, although it was by Zoom, but I think we're getting used to that already, and so it makes it's not as nice as seeing people in person, but we can see them at least on their computer. And I also wanted to basically share that one of our fellow council members from the city of El Centro, Cheryl Villegas Walker, is actually the new president for the California League of Cities. And so we're very proud of her being elected to be the president of this very important organization, and she's an outstanding representative throughout the state and represents Imperial County, the city of El Centro, and all our cities very well. So we're really happy with that. And we actually have had several of our council members serve on different committees with the League of Cities, and I know Councilman Wharton and I believe Councilman Nava have served previously. So it's a great organization to be part of, and I'm looking forward to also to attending the conference virtually this week. Some of the things that I managed to do during the week, I did go by the Purgo site. That's moving forward. The Chevron is working on cleaning that site up for those that may not be aware of it. It looks like they're on schedule. They haven't reported any problems, so everything seems to be going as expected. And they've been in communication with our interim city manager on an ongoing basis, and so it's a good thing that that's being worked on. I did go by Allen Street, and I saw that it was pretty much completed. That's why I asked Guillermo for an update. I thought it looked pretty much finished to me. And then Legion Road, of course, everybody in the neighborhood is pretty happy about that. Everyone that drives over there on Legion Road. But they still ask me, when's the next part, right? So that's why I asked Guillermo, when can we expect the next part? Because they feel like, okay, we didn't, phase 1, phase 2, okay, is that it? And I said, no, the third phase is coming, believe me. But they hold me to a promise on that one. I also addressed some of some comments from public regarding the CUP for the clinic downtown. There's a lot of concerns regarding that, so I'm sure we're going to be dealing with that in the next few weeks. And I did notice in relation to what Sam was commenting, I've been pretty much very, very involved with the county and the phone calls with the state as far as how they're dealing with the COVID-19 in the different counties. And unfortunately, we are in the state of California, we're not in the state of Arizona, and a lot of it is, of course, dictated by our governor and by our public health department. And I do have to say that I think they're working really hard to move us forward. It's kind of hard to control those numbers, but what they keep emphasizing is that we have to be safe, and we have to follow, the protocols that are set forth for us. And even though we don't have everything open now with the weather changing, at least we have the outdoor dining, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot more activity. I noticed today. There was people sitting outdoor in the restaurants out here in our area. So I think we're going to be seeing that a lot more. I think today is supposed to be the last day that we're at 100 degrees or something. So that's a positive thing. And other than that, I also want to share that I appreciate all the input that we're getting from the contractors in our community, and we assure you that we're going to be looking into those issues and do our best to make sure that either perhaps we need more staff, or we'll address the issues. One thing we don't want to do is lose any of our development to other cities. We want to make sure that the development stays in our city, so that's very important to all of us. And with that, That concludes my report, and we'll go on and move on to our interim city manager report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be brief. As the mayor stated, the Pure Go stockpile removal is continuing. I had the opportunity to actually go on site today and see it in action. Very clean. The streets where the trucks come out are clean. The trucks are getting washed from underneath before they even hit the road. The stockpiles are covered within the trucks. They're about 15 to 20% done already. So everything's working according to plan down there, which is good news. I've had some questions about Halloween, what the guidance is from the city's perspective. Today we had a briefing with the county. If the state is supposed to be issuing some official guidance on Halloween, if it's not done by this week, the county will issue some guidance on the Halloween procedures and precautions.
You have to wear a mask.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if everybody's a ghost? And then it won't even, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So and there's last meeting, the council had some public comments about the river bottom fire. I'm happy to report that multiple departments are working on what we can control, our city property down at the river bottom by Pat Williams, police, public works, fire, streets as part of public works, myself, we were all down there. Chief York's taking the lead. We expect to have some costs pretty darn soon when all that's gonna cost. And so we're moving forward on that. And City Attorney and I have been in contact with a local developer on some other concerns of some cleanup on that property, and we hope to have a resolution soon on that. And just wanted to mention I'm taking the opportunity to investigate the POB, the bonds that we have, some refunding to see if we have some savings there. I have a call tomorrow afternoon on that. And we'll see where that goes, but hopefully we'll be coming back soon with some potential savings on refunding those bonds. And lastly, it's my understanding that in regards to the medical clinic, it has been officially appealed. We received an appeal application today, so that process will be starting. And we'll keep you posted. Okay. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, City Attorney?
Just on Mr. Salcedo's comment, that developer, attorney spoke to me today, and the developer's got soliciting bids to have the subdivision cleaned up. So
Okay.
things are moving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, since that's related to weeds, I was just gonna, one thing that I failed to report, and just to get it on record, that under public comments, that I have also gotten some concerns regarding some weeds in different areas in the city, and I've shared those with Mr. Salcido, so we'll be looking into that too. Okay.
City clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Spurton. City clerk report?
Nothing to report.
Okay. Well, that concludes this part of our meeting. Thank you all for attending, and we hope to see you again in a couple of weeks.
Thank you all. Have a good one.
Thank you.